Guys, today we are commemorating the 75th anniversary of VJ Day, which was called Victory in Japan Day, the day on which the Japanese surrendered to the Allies in World War II, and that was the 14th of August, 1945. So it was a big day everywhere, and we're making a cake that was popular during World War II. The cake was actually invented during World War I and was popular a bit during the Depression, but it really came into its own in World War II because during World War II, as you may know, a lot of things were rationed. And this cake, yes, it uses a few things that were rationed, but it also doesn't use normal cake ingredients that were rationed. For example, there's no butter, there are no eggs, there's no milk. So it's and it's called Wacky cake or crazy cake because it is a little weird to think of the fact that you're leavening. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but it comes from baking soda, which makes sense, and vinegar. And if you've ever tried to clean out a drain with baking soda and vinegar, and then you pour hot water in, you'll see how it bubbles up. That's the same reaction we're going for here. So we start with our dry ingredients. I have here 1.25 cups of flour. Oops, you know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna ignore the fact. Ideally, if your ingredients are like mine, my cocoa is that was 1 cup of sugar. This is 1/4 cup of cocoa. My cocoa is a little lumpy. You would possibly sift this in, but we're not worrying about it. There's our baking soda and a little bit of salt. It's 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And we just mix those up. And yes, if I had done it with a sieve, I wouldn't have these lumps of cocoa, but I'm not going to worry about it right now because they all kind of cook out, cocoa out, whatever. Okay, so let's pretend that looks beautiful and smooth. Then we're going to make 3 little indentations, 3 little wells. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay, into those we put vinegar, and a little bit of this is 1/3 cup, that was a tablespoon of vinegar, 1/3 cup of a neutral oil. I'm using canola, it could be a vegetable oil, whatever. It just shouldn't have a lot of flavor. And that's your fat. And then just a little bit of vanilla, and I don't remember what the recipe says because I never pay any attention to how much vanilla you need. I just pour it in. And over that, it's just a strange little recipe, we pour 1 cup of water. And then we take a wooden spoon or a whisk. I'm going to start with the wooden spoon. I'm going to start with a whisk and mix it in. My wooden spoon is vintage. It's probably from World War II. It belonged to my mother. It has that old look, and you can see that somehow or other it lost part of its oomph, but that's all right. It still works. So we just mix that up. I like kind of doing it with the whisk. Not too aggressively because the flour doesn't want to lose its gluten. There we go. So once that's mixed, we pour it into a greased and floured 8x8 inch pan. I mean, this is really, how long did that take? No time. This is an incredibly easy recipe. We put it in a 350-degree oven, and it kind of depends on your oven. It'll be ready, you do your toothpick test, it'll be ready between 25 and 35 minutes. And then you have what looks and tastes pretty much like a normal chocolate cake. I'm going to grab the final product. Now, you wouldn't necessarily have put icing on during World War II because it did use butter. But I like it because I found my little patriotic sprinkles. So I'm going to cut a piece. So it's pretty much a little chocolate cake. All right, does it taste exactly as good as my chocolate cake that I make with butter? No, but it's pretty darn good. And if you were living on rations, you would be very happy with it. So let's celebrate the end of World War II. I should say that the hat I am wearing belonged to a lovely woman named Elaine Ostergren, who was the choir director at my church for many years. She was in the Navy. This is her wave cap, and she was a code breaker. So I was always really fascinated by that. So here's to all the people who got us through World War II and all the cakes that have got us through everything. Bye.